Hey fam, welcome back to another episode of I'm Telling You. As always, your hosts, Philly D.
And Mr. Gemini.
And if you would like to continue the conversation, because we would love that ourselves, please feel free to reach out to us at I'm Telling You at directionsofmusic.org. That's IMTELLINYOU at directionsofmusic.org. Check us out. Hit us up. Movie quotes. Tell us we're awesome. We suck. I don't know.
Just eloquently.
What? Just continue the conversation.
Just say anything. Say anything.
Say what you mean to say. So if first time listeners, 30-year friendship, we just chop it up. We talk about everything. We tangent. We movie quote, music quote. We quote ourselves at this point.
It's just at some point, our conversations, you just wanted to hit record. And you've been bugging me for a while, and here we are.
Well, originally it was because we were always having these like hysterical moments where we were almost like creating jokes or sketches. And I was like, we should record this and we should turn ourselves into like a sketch comedy act. And then it became a thing where it's just like, we should just record, period.
And it's always been the tangent thing, hasn't it?
I think it's just the fact that I like our banter. So while we have this really nice, give and receive kind of a thing of just playing off of each other, it's also very intelligent. I mean, not always, but so we, the whole iron sharpening iron kind of a thing, we've grown with each other because of this.
And talking things out and learning stuff and kind of like sometimes working through stuff in your own head as you're speaking and how that's potentially kind of helping open you up further mentally to continue the conversation. But yeah, it's always kind of come freely to us. The way we communicate, and sometimes it's deep, and sometimes it's not so deep.
And even on that kind of a level, I feel that because we do have that continuation, because we have that balance, because there is moments of seriousness and then levity, because we do have that give and take kind of thing, that yin and yang of it. The balance of what we do is, I think, pretty healthy. So yeah, we extend that to other components of our lives.
Well, I'm trying to make it not appear or sound because it's not. There's nothing forced about it. There's nothing pre-written. There's sometimes to our detriment.
To yours, maybe.
Oh, whoa. Okay,
I have to put up with it. So yeah, I guess it's okay. It's a part of that.
I wanted to just start off by saying, Feliz cumpleaños.
Oh. Yeah, no, that's I don't deal with that kind of crap. I could care less, but thank you. I a long time ago, I really, and this is why I also am not big on doing like celebrating pretty much anything on a singular aspect like that. Like the major holidays or whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm just not into that kind of stuff. To me, I'd rather take a moment at any point in the day or the year or the week and be like, this is what I'm going to do. So I'd rather celebrate it as a thing and its spontaneity of just being a part of life.
How's my Dukes with this, with your laissez-faire attitude towards birthdays and holidays?
Oh, I mean, I still, because that's the thing is like, so just because that's what I subscribe to doesn't mean I put that on anyone else. So
you still kind of go through the motions and.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still show up for like all the stuff and yeah, I do the things and whatnot, but it's just not. I'm not going to actively try to search that out, but yeah, my Dukes wants me there. I'm going to show up, man. I love my mom.
Well, I figured I'd just bring something I think you've been waiting for a little bit. So,
what is? Oh my God, he's unpacking.
A bit overdue.
Yeah, can we not do that on mic? Maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, here, I didn't plan that ahead, but yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So there's going to be more paper in this, and we don't even have glasses for it. So we're going to have to do this later. But
actually, I did grab a couple from your kitchen.
All right,
that noisemaker over there.
Well, then, so then if you can do me a favor and try to run some interference while I actually, you know what? Here, we'll you talk because you're going to have to do this. I need assistance on this because there's going to be some noise involved, so I'm going to have to.
So you want to tell everybody what's going on here? So I just pulled out a box of Patron. What's the name of it again? It's
añejo.
Añejo,
which means aged.
Okay. So it's not the silver stuff. It's not even Reposado is the other one, right? There's another one. Is that I don't know.
Well, yeah, no. So okay, so yeah, all right. Tequila knowledge.
Tequila knowledge. All
right, here we go. Yeah, I love tacos. I also love tequila. So yeah, why not?
We can try to do everything here and still be interactive.
Yeah. So all right. So tequila is basically just distilled. So it's blue agave from the tequila region that's been distilled.
Still fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's unaged. It's basically just it's out of the whatever the distiller and bottled, and here you go. And then you go to reposado, which means rested. So it sits for a few months, because I think it has to be no more than 11 months rested. Because then once you get to the 1 year mark is when you hit the añejo. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm trying to talk over the
no.
It's gonna.
I know you were trying to tell me there's a lot of work to this, to getting that thing open. So
yeah. So then, reposado is rested, or no more than 11 months. So it's usually like 2 months to 11 months is its typical, and then from there you get into the añejo, which is typically like 1 to you heard that, like 1 to 2 years, because then you get into like extra añejo, which is usually like 3 years.
So now, is it that loose in definition that it can be anywhere from 1 year to 2 years? I mean, so if you have one that's aged for 11 months and one that's only been aged for 1 more month.
Well, but so reposado is 2 months to 11 months, or like 1 month to 11 months. So it's less than a year. Añejo is 1 to less than 3 years, because extra añejo is 3 years or longer.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm learning all kinds of stuff here.
Dude, hey, you want to talk tacos or tequila? I'm your man. So, but yeah, hey, bro, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Salud.
Salud.
Oh, gosh. That is so smooth. That is so smooth.
I know you don't get into all the hoopla, but you can still appreciate that. So
I can appreciate having a drink with my buddy.
Well, and obviously, I mean, your taste, I tend to like a nice smooth scotch. Your thing is a smooth tequila, so.
I prefer scotch as well, but my true preference to be, at heart, is...
when you get to the real high quality stuff, and in my opinion, unless you're talking vodka, because the more expensive the vodka, the less taste there is at all, but it seems with good tequila and with aged tequila and good aged scotch that there are similarities there in the notes and the...
Well, yeah, because when you're aging, you pull certain things out of the wood, so it depends on the wood you're doing.
That's just warming me all throughout right now.
That's what tequila is good for. But yeah, so it's usually a oh gosh, what do you want to I forgot where I was going to go with this.
The record skip. Oh.
Yeah, you did. You got me with the tequila.
Button hook, man.
Yeah, where was I at? Come on, bring it back.
I do. I really don't know. You had a thought going on there, and you were...
Oh, yeah, the tequila aging with the barrel. So, yeah, because of... So, I think typically most will use American oak. And I think with the extra añejo, some will start to actually do a zebra cask, which is they'll do American oak and French oak. And the difference is the American oak, you get more of that smokiness, that typical robust Scotch kind of a vibe. The French oak, you get more of like a vanilla.
I thought I heard something about like a Canadian white oak or something that's very specific to that region that's also very sought after. But I'm no Cooper myself, but I thought I'd heard that at one point.
Depending on, what's being put in it. Yeah, of course. It's just typically that I'm aware of. It's usually American oak and French oak. And I mean, French oak is starting to become more of a thing, I think. Because, we're starting to have better, overseas commerce and whatnot. So you can get your hands on those. You can procure them.
I think it's so cool that a lot of, distillers and brewers are kind of exchanging back and forth these different flavor aspects of, okay, well, the barrel's been used 3 times for whiskey. Now we're going to sell it to somebody else and they're going to make beer with it. And like the flavor notes and the caramelization that comes out of the wood naturally, and obviously all the stuff that's still kind of saturated inside the wood from previous use creates a whole different, flavor note structure to the
absolutely
new creation,
as well as how much time it's been used for aging. So not even so much how many times, but also length of time.
right?
All that stuff goes into play. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the thing on like Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels would make their own barrels. They also make their own charcoal out of their old barrels.
Sure.
And they use that charcoal as part of their distilling process. Like that's like one of their filtering. And they actually run it over their own charcoal that they made themselves. As well as they also
well, you use what you have access to, which is what makes Scotch so interesting, because its place of origin usually denotes what kind of turf that they use to burn off during part of that process where they're creating all these flavor notes. A lot of times they're burning local peat, and peat will have a certain distinct flavor from one region to another, depending on how many different, I don't know if it's tannins or whatever other notes that are in there.
Freaking tannins. So that's a How I Met Your Mother thing. There's an actual episode about that where they're like trying to drink the wine. They're like, no, you have to let it breathe for 30 minutes at least. You want those tannins to come out. You're like, freaking tannins. Dude, I just want to drink my wine, man.
You got to let it breathe, man. Yeah, wine's a whole different creature that way.
Well, and to me, I think anything that's truly been aged typically does need some breathing. I mean, at least it would, from my perspective, many times it usually benefits from allowing it to breathe.
Aerating somewhat.
Yeah.
Even if it's just sitting out in the open air. Yeah. But nowadays they have all kinds of specialized aerators that you can use too, and just pour straight from the bottle, and it's supposed to mimic that, leaving it open for 10 or 20 minutes.
I don't know. I'm old school. I'll wait. I'm patient.
Yeah, that's the old school thing. A lot of people will take a bottle and they'll crack it open, and if they know they're going to finish it in the night, they'll just pour it straight into a carafe. That lets it breathe a lot quicker.
Well, yeah, it gets it aerating.
But I'm no wine connoisseur. I know very little about wine.
It's all right.
I'm trying to learn about beer, man.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, we don't have to be professionals here, even though we do. I don't know. It's a weird thing that we do.
I don't even know. What is it we do? What do we do?
We talk about stuff.
Stuff, man. They're just talking. They're just, what are they talking about?
We also laugh for each other a lot. That's good. Yeah, we have a very healthy relationship, I think. Even
still cracks me up.
That is definitely a great line of all time.
I'm laughing for you. I'm not laughing.
You just messed up.
I totally messed up the punchline.
Yeah, no, it's I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, but I'm not laughing. Well, then I'm laughing for you.
Thank you for fixing that for me.
Well, it's my job. I corral you. You're welcome. Hey man, that's another part of our show. I try to keep us serious while bringing the funny, and you just try to derail it as much as possible.
Tangent, do whatever I can do to try and throw it off the rails.
Yeah, you almost did it you almost button hooked me with the tequila. You really did. Oh, there it is, beer crack.
Yeah,
that's how you know it's us. We drink beer here too.
So this is some kind of a lager.
Some kind of a lager. It's literally got lager built into its name.
Yes.
And that's an American lager right there.
An American style lager.
Yeah, what you would call your 3-2-1 beer. Yeah, it's
a 3-2-1 beer.
Yeah, it's I believe it's the combination of ingredients or whatever, or structure. I forget what the specific meaning is behind it, but that's like its original name because it's an American lager.
I'm going to try it again.
You can try it as many times as you like. You have 16 ounces. That's all yours.
Yeah, I got like another good, 15 pulls on that right now.
15 pulls. That's an interesting way to say it. Weird.
Shut it.
You shut your mouth and you talk to me.
The greats we just keep on using them. If we can recycle them over and over, that's great.
Well, I think that's a responsible thing to do in today's society. You have to recycle as much as possible. Dad joke.
But yeah, I like the idea of insulting us with quotes.
I honestly would love to get a 1-paragraph, quotes only statement of any nature towards us, because the fact that you took the time to do that is so dope, and I want to read that.
Oh. You're such a disease.
Dude,
What you did, you little jerk.
Well, because we've also been talking about creating our own our own rating system of movies based on how quotable they are.
Yeah, we missed our opportunity. We didn't have the stopwatch out to record.
Oh yeah, because we had
all the quotable moments in Grandma's Boy.
Yeah, we were having our bro date. I forced him to rewatch it with me.
And what did I say we have to watch now? We have to see
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
That has to be seen. And then I also said Bill and Ted, or not Bill and Ted, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the original.
You said you had a special edit too, right?
Well, no, there's a reboot of it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, whole different.
Oh yeah, it's awesome too because I mean it's still him. You know what I mean? It's just they did a reboot.
Okay, I guess I missed that one.
It was only a couple years ago. It's pretty recent.
Okay.
Yeah, his daughter is like the one lead in it and stuff. So
we'll get to all of it because I can imagine a whole list building in my head right now of movies that we should catch together.
Well, I even
like the Great Lebowski, or is it the Great Lebowski?
No, the Big Lebowski.
I misquote everything. Sorry.
Yeah, The Dude Abides. Yeah, man, that's a good one too.
It's my hero.
Well, we were talking about before. I said that we should start with like using John Hughes as like the benchmark.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like if you can keep up with this, it's like you're pretty awesome. If you're below it, it's like okay, but if you're above it, it's like holy crap! They just outdid John Hughes? All right, cool. That's dope, bro.
That's setting the bar really high. I don't know.
Well, but I think it's a respectable standard. I don't think it's too high. Well, because there's so many different movies that he's done and so many different styles that he's going to have plenty of movies where they are super quotable and some that aren't. And it's just that what is quotable is just very iconic in that statement because it's just, it became a thing.
I don't know. I mean, we were saying that there's so much about the movies that in its, I don't know, with all of its components all together somehow it creates like this timeless moment. But all those things about growing up, like those little details that we remember, that he takes the time to put all that in there. Like all the little things about the pimento loaf sandwich that became like all those little silly things in Breakfast Club or in, well, any one of those really, but that's the one that always sticks out for me. But
I enjoy the relative running joke of Michael Anthony Hall's character from like Breakfast Club to Weird Science.
Oh, you were saying that before, that there's been like the whole joke about the girlfriend.
Well, yeah, because it was also, I think 16 Candles. So I think it was like those three and like maybe, but I'm pretty sure those three where, yeah, he basically like, he talks about how he has a girlfriend that's from like Canada. So nobody would know her. And
yeah, you wouldn't know her. I met her at Niagara Falls.
Yeah. And that's Breakfast Club. And the reference in Weird Science is where Wyatt's talking to Gary about it. He's like, well, don't you have that girl in Canada or whatever that you met at like campers? I forget, but.
Wait, how old did he make himself on his license?
What do you mean?
Wait, didn't he have a false ID?
Oh, he was like 65? Yeah, I goofed it.
Ridiculous.
I goofed it. I made myself 65.
Why do you need your own ID?
So I can vote. Yeah, man. Brian Johnson is a responsible citizen, even as a high school student.
Oh, it's so I can vote. Like, it's a ridiculous question. Why would you even ask that?
Well, of course, because he's a very logical-minded individual.
Well, and the question was asked almost in the context of why would you need a false ID? Like, you who would probably never drink a beer under the age of, 28.
Well, and that's because that's the thing is typically when you make yourself, get yourself a fake ID, it's because you want to drink, and it's not because you want to be responsible and vote. Yeah, you want to be like a menace to society.
They were trying to let you know what that character was all about.
Yeah, well, and that's what you were saying. It's those little things,
little details that stick with you. Yeah.
Well, and I think John Hughes' tendencies to have those nuances, to have that emphasis to that degree on so many little things, is really what made the characters and the structure and the whole idea viable.
I mean, you were saying like a psychological breakdown of that movie would state that there's there's, typical archetypes portrayed within all the characters that play in that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which honestly could be, and probably has been done as a play, I'm sure.
Well, and that's a lot of your greater writing will have that personality trait, ideas, those types built into it.
That it's dialogue rich enough that it could be theatrical.
Well, yeah, because
you still wouldn't really lose anything with it other than, different camera angles and changes of scenery that, I don't know. I think it could be done nearly as well just on stage because so much of it was heavy in dialogue. I'm still curious, would that movie rate, would that be one that would rate 20 minutes or more? I don't know. We have to try this one day. Somebody's got to do it. And it's got to be a great movie like Breakfast Club or something else that was transitional, and...
Well, and I feel because he does put that emphasis on representing those many different types, making it believable also makes it timeless because it's almost a snapshot into that actual time frame of what life would have been like for the specific specific style of setup, like this town, this dynamic of these characters. All that stuff, but he plays with it so well. That's why I like Tarantino, and
it always seems to be the same area too, isn't it? What town is it?
Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
Sherman, Illinois.
So many of his stories have actually occurred within that as the backdrop.
Yeah. I think that was Weird Science, Breakfast Club. There was a couple other, I think. Maybe Pretty in Pink, because it was outside of the main. They did more of the central area, but they, it was still like an outlying town. So I think for the most part, most of his earlier works, somehow or another, it was associated with that kind of place, in Illinois, like a Chicago suburb or something.
It's like Stephen King and talking about Maine, right?
Well, because it's the same thing with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They go into the city, they go into Chicago,
right? So it's always got somehow a part of that area as the backdrop for the entire Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So even
it's been a reoccurring, like you were saying. I think he picks certain motifs that he uses over and over again.
Yeah, he's pulling from that relative dynamic. And
is there a connection with him in Illinois, or? I
think he's from there.
Okay, that would make perfect sense. It'd be odd for him to just pick that randomly, but.
Yeah, we're from that area. I forget. I've done reading on him from so long ago. It's back there, and I'm not going to pull it up right now. I'm not. It's late. We've already been doing.
I know you're a bigger fan of a lot of that stuff more than I am because you actually do. You do it while I say annual viewing, and you laugh at me. You're like, no, I probably watch it several times a year, but there's certain movies in a list that you have that you have to view at least once a year.
Yeah,
that's one of them.
I got a few of them. Yeah, nowadays it actually is. It's not even me doing it. It's the kid's like, "Hey, let's watch this." I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Put it in.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So I don't even have to watch them anymore because they present themselves. It's kind of nice.
That's beautiful. I'm still trying to get my kids into certain movies, and it's just, I thought maybe if it's not a cartoon, it wouldn't work. So I tried picking cartoons that I remember, and it still doesn't work. It doesn't translate. Like, this is boring. It moves too slow. The screens don't change fast enough. Everything's short attention span these days. I don't know.
Yeah, there's probably a lot to be said about that.
I don't know. I thought The Last Unicorn was dope, but
dude, it is. It's part of my collection.
They don't care about it.
That's my top 300. Yeah, well, Alan Arkin's in that, man. That guy's in everything.
The music is kind of.
Dude, it's from the 80s, bro.
Yeah. What is it?
Synthesizers and like guitar rock solo ballads.
It's all America, I think. The band America. I think the whole soundtrack is.
That's the thing from the 80s. They would just pick a group and be like, "You guys do it." Yeah, no.
I think they did the whole soundtrack. Yeah, and not that it was bad. It was just it didn't it wasn't upbeat. You know, it kind of, you know, it was more like a symphony that way. It was more mellow and more
because
to set the mood.
It was a tragedy.
It was.
Yeah. I mean,
the Red Bull. Right.
Comes out of the clock.
The last, yeah.
Right. Or you go through the clock into the cave and that's where the bull's at.
Yes. Yes. There was like some kind of weird portal chamber, something.
Dimensional gateway.
Was it the time would actually stand still during a certain moment or
something like that? Yeah. When the clock struck, the specific time is when it would like open that doorway.
There was something with that skeleton, wasn't there? Like over top of the.
Oh yeah, he gave him the bottle of wine and he was like drinking it, and it's just like pouring through him.
But it's empty. No, it was empty.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's the memories." I'm trying to remember the line he said because I don't know. I guess it totally escapes me right now, but great movie. The skeleton on top of the whatever. That was basically didn't he give him a riddle that they ended up figuring out, and that's how they went through there, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And I own the movie, and it's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah, it has been a little bit for me as well. Yeah, I think I got mine to watch it once, and it was years ago, so it's probably time to revisit that.
Or like what? Labyrinth?
Dude, Labyrinth is great. Are you kidding me?
Dude, I keep trying different movies that I loved growing up, and they're just like,
Hello. Did you say hello? No, I said hello, but close enough.
Would you like to come in for a spot or tea with the missus? No, the Goonies. Like, dude, how could you not like Goonies as a kid?
Oh, I love Goonies.
But it's just, I don't know if it's the cinematography doesn't excite them enough. It's not a cartoon. It's not. I'm like, it's kids. It's little kids going on an adventure. How could you not like that?
So you gotta paint a different picture for them.
Like the Princess Bride, right? Like you did with.
Yeah, I totally tricked into it.
You're like, no, there's a princess.
No, I was straight up. They kidnap a princess and they go on a quest to save her from an evil king.
That's exactly what happened.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, and I used that and totally.
And along the way, there's
a giant.
Yeah, there's
a swordsman.
There's a giant, a swordsman. There's
a dude with 6 fingers on one hand.
Crazy Sicilian.
Yeah, right. Never bet a Sicilian when death is on the line.
I just love the whole bit with, clearly you'd not put the cup in front of you. And he's like, so you know which one? He's like, are you quite finished?
No, he asked him. He's like, what does he say to him? He's like, have you? Are you? I haven't even begun to start. But yeah, no, I used that same mindset of trickery of the whole princess thing on that one and segued it over to getting her to watch Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
Because now I'm like, all right, so now there's 2 princesses that get kidnapped and they both have green, majestic eyes. And there's this evil, and she's just like, wow, this sounds great. We get like 10 minutes into it. She's like, this is a kung fu movie, isn't it? I was like, yep, yes, it is.
But I didn't lie.
Yeah, there's definitely princesses.
It's got 2 princesses in it.
Totally did. Yeah.
So she was already vested at that point. Like, you can't get up now.
Oh, she sees things through. She tries it. She truly tries it.
I'll hang.
Yeah, she watched it and she liked it. It's kung fu. She doesn't like kung fu movies.
No?
No. It's not her cup of tea. It's all good.
Certain niche for that, I guess. We were talking about that before. I've always loved that, watching the kung fu theater Sunday morning as a kid. Like, I grew up with that.
Dude, I still want to watch kung fu theater. Wake up on a Sunday, crack a beer, and just start watching kung fu.
All that crazy stuff I used to watch Sunday mornings,
Yeah.
It was like there was a whole lineup. It was Three Stooges. There was, I think I said last time, Mighty Mouse at some point, like really early. And kung fu theater was usually fairly early in the morning, and then there was another one, like a matinee in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, I think mine was they would do. I want to say they would play one at 8 to 10, and then the other one from 10 to 12, because then at 12 Elvira would come on with her Sunday horror movie extravaganza. So yeah, that was my typical Sunday watching, kung fu and then Elvira.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a dope afternoon. It was, on my 13-inch black and white TV. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I had my own TV. I could watch whatever I wanted.
Dude, it didn't matter at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
I had 3 channels, but they were mine.
it could have been the size of your palm, like the viewing surface, and you would have been happy with it back then. Like I just remember being a kid, and it's like, oh, kids don't know anymore what they got. You know, when you could buy a flat screen TV big enough for a normal sized bedroom.
Everything's a TV now.
Yeah, exactly.
Your phone's a TV. Your watch is a TV. The TV's a TV.
Screens are taking over, man.
Dude, your freaking refrigerator has a TV. Like everything has a TV on. You could have a TV in the bathroom, on the planes. They're everywhere.
It's so weird how like the world around you just disappears though. Like when you're so stuck on screens, and I'm saying I'm guilty of it too, but it's like sometimes it's nice. I mean, like you like to do on a regular with golfing is, just kind of disconnect from everything.
Oh, dude, I put my phone in my bag and I don't even look at it. On occasion, when there's a really nice view, when there's just like this glorious moment, I'm like, dude, I got to take a picture of it.
Right.
I'll pull it out and do that. But for the most part, it just sits in my bag because no distractions. I'm golfing. This is me time. It's me time down here.
You're just going to steal that line and use it to your own advantage.
That's because I love the Goonies.
All right, man.
Everybody knows this. I love me the Goonies. Yeah, man. $50 bill. $50 bill. We saved $50 bill. Oh, these are counterfeit. Yeah, man. Data.
So many. That's another one.
Yeah,
would that make the 20-minute cut? I don't know.
Dude, that's like a half hour.
You think so?
Oh my God. There's so many good lines in that movie.
Explorers, you think?
Explorers, I mean, might be around the 15-minute mark. It gets better towards the end when you start to interact with the aliens.
There wasn't as much dialogue.
Well, there was a lot of slow build up where you saw the relationship happening. They build the structure.
Well, that's the other thing. Like we were saying, well, you said we would be the judges of what's quotable, but just because there's dialogue doesn't mean it's necessarily quotable.
Right.
It has to be something like, when you turn to your friend and say one line or 2 words from a line in a certain voice, it's like, exactly where I'm going.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be.
Does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
To me, it's that thing where it's, it doesn't matter who says it, or like I could hear a commercial and they do like 2 words of it and it's just like, it puts me there, so yeah, it doesn't even have to be us that sparks it. It's just, that's how our brains work.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I guess it's been wired this way now. I don't know.
It's a frequency thing.
Yeah. Thanks MTV. Programmed us. We only think in movies now and music.
It's not just, it's like everywhere though. It wasn't just MTV. It was like everything. When we've made Sesame Street references, it really doesn't matter.
I mean, I like Sesame Street. Dude, Nickelodeon. Dude, we do all of it.
Got you last. Plus and Minus. You remember Plus and Minus?
No.
Nickelodeon.
It's been a while.
Pinwheel?
Pinwheel, spinning around.
Yeah, right.
Spinning around.
Dating myself right now. Dude, how long were they even on for? I'd have to look that one up. I have no idea.
What, Pinwheel? Dude, I don't know. Like 6 or 7 years?
It wasn't a long time. I mean, well.
It was back in the 80s. It seems long ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
In comparison, who knows? But yeah,
this is what happens when you have a birthday. You start thinking about that.
But you do. I don't.
That's what I do automatically. Sorry, I start thinking about the past.
See, and that's...
It's not in a negative way. It's cool to reminisce.
I am always... And yeah, they're taking time to rejoice and remember a great moment is awesome. And it has its moments. But me, I really just want to enjoy that moment and then move to the next.
Just now.
Yeah, just keep embracing, being present and just truly being a part of life instead of taking myself out of that moment and thinking about other things, future or present, may or may not be, and just really enjoy where I'm at.
Yeah, there's moments in my past that I still kind of replay in my head, like moments without any dialogue. Honestly, sometimes it's just a certain view. Like things I remember from, so when I grew up before I moved to PA. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts until the middle of second grade we moved. So I think I was turning 7 or something like that. And like I still remember the scene from like I could walk down to a certain part of my neighborhood and look out on the Merrimack River.
That's pretty cool.
So I still have memories that I can enjoy from back then that you know, there's not necessarily anything negative connected with it. It's completely on its own, just the view. You know, just to enjoy that, and it's still in there. It's so cool that you can just kind of pull that up and replay it anytime you want.
And see, me, I would take that as saying that your body is longing for those moments where you were at peace or calm or truly in the moment.
It could be. I mean, because that's almost like the way it's imprinted on me, is that it's a very calming, very, you know, I don't remember if I was talking to anybody, if I was with anybody at the time. I just remember, you know, moments where I just kind of stared off and watched the Merrimack as it flowed. And it was just, it's still in there somewhere. It's crazy that you can just kind of, and sometimes when I'm celebrating or thinking about whether it's my birthday or the birthday of a good friend, it's only natural for me to reminisce, you know?
And there's everything right with that.
Like thinking about the first time that I met you a long time ago.
And again, you know, my mentality of it, because of my psychology background, I very much understand what we believe to be how our brains form memories and why and how, and under the different, you know, variables that create that memory. So to me, it's very much, I find if I'm constantly going back to a certain idea, whether it's, you know, once a month, once a year, once every decade, if my body or mind keeps going back to a single component, then I feel as though that's a longing or yearning. Perhaps maybe there's something still to be learned from it, or
that you need to explore.
Yeah, so I take the moment to revel in it with that kind of a mentality, and then leave it as a learning experience, and then move away from it and enjoy new moments in a greater sense, having learned from that moment.
Well, do you look at stuff like that? Like, I always wonder about that. Like when you have, like you ever have a thought that comes out of nowhere, and it could be something you haven't thought of in over 10 years. And I mean, do you question yourself? Like, where did that come from?
Well, and
like, is that something I need to revisit? Is that something that I missed something? And is that what I don't know if that's what you're getting at.
Pretty much, because I've built this habit for myself coming from getting my education later in life. I mean, I didn't go to college until I was in my early 30s. Having that psychology to help me work through some of my stuff and have a better understanding so I can rationalize or learn or have peace with things. I've done this so many times that, when something like that comes up, do I question it? Of course. And that question is, what can I take away from this? Am I supposed to learn from it? Or
I mean, do you look at that as like your, I don't know, where you say your deeper self, your higher self, your spiritual connection, whatever it is, that's actually trying to tell you something?
Or it could be my inner child.
Well, however you want to word it, or whatever.
No. Yeah. Multiple components. So it could be that yearning of that happiness inside of me, like my soul.
Oh, like something from that time era that you miss.
So it could be something very personal to me as an energy or an entity, or it could be something very personal to my body as far as like safety or happiness. So it could be on any one of those kind of a level. And that's why I'm like, it's very much, if it does come up, then I do want to go ahead and look into it and say, hey, what is it about this that I need to be aware of? I mean, I do that with a lot of stuff because I don't want to stay in the past. I don't want to try to look towards the future.
Right. But what I'm saying is when you have a thought like that just kind of comes out of nowhere, and not that it necessarily bowls you over or makes you have an emotional outburst. I'm just saying something that, wow, I haven't thought about that memory in a long time. I wonder why that just kind of, you know how thoughts tend to sometimes just bubble up from nowhere and come to the surface. And I question myself, like, why do I have a memory of, a time before I could learn how to walk, when I first and only time I ever met one of my great aunts And I can still remember being in her arms and seeing the sunlight come through the branches of the tree above me. But that's all I have. Like, I have a memory of colors, shapes, emotions. Like, I felt loved, I was being held, I was being talked about. Like, there was a whole general acceptance, but that's what I get. And I don't remember what happened before that or what happened after. It's just so funny how some of those memories I'll tag onto just to kind of hold them for a minute and let them pass.
It sounds like you are longing to be loved and attended to.
Who is it? Come on.
Not everybody.
No? Well,
I mean, because me personally, I attend to myself. I love myself, so I don't need that from anybody.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily coming from a longing. It's just like, sometimes I don't know if it's my subconscious, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, just kind of just throwing me a gentle reminder every once in a while.
Well, and yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Whether it's your inner child saying, hey, I remember this and my feelings about it, or if it's your body saying, hey, this is a good thing to do because it keeps us living, somehow or another, I guarantee you there's a trigger involved in there somewhere.
There could be. And it's funny how sometimes, I don't know if you've had that happen. They say, like, with the olfactory, the nose is so strongly connected in such a deep way to your memory center in your brain that commonly a certain scent can bring you right back to a memory from, like, the oldest parts of childhood that maybe you even forgot about. It's just weird how sometimes little things like that will trigger, a memory like that.
And yeah, that's where we were talking about synesthesia, and I brought up the idea of if you can make that memory as vivid as possible, your brain will recall it even greater because it has to store that much more information about it.
Well, that there's layers to it, and there's a feeling, an emotion, a scent, a color, a shape, a time, like all these different angles to it that it makes it very. It was very kind of a three-dimensional thing, I guess, would be the best way to. I don't know, understand that. It's not like a flimsy. Like I was just saying, that one memory of when I was small enough before I learned how to walk. Like, I don't know where that came from, how old I was exactly, or what happened the rest of that day. I just remember that. And that for me is the memory itself it's very faint. But then there's other memories that have, like, almost a three-dimensional nature. Like there's many different aspects and emotional layers and colors and shapes and all these different things tied to it that gives it kind of a girth of its own, like a
greater depth. And
yeah.
And again, my psychology upbringing would say that, that because your body and soul are associating that with a certain idea. Yeah, when you get that reoccurring component, it warrants some self. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, just like blanked. Self-reflection, where you really just need to kind of look at it. Is what is it about this that that my soul or my body or my mind or that wants to trigger this? And I mean, and sometimes that memory pops up because it was somehow or another associated with something else, and there's really nothing to come from it. That's why I said if it's more of a thing that is constantly reoccurring, if you find yourself wandering to that idea again, whether
that's something you need to focus on, or
well, I think Jordan Peterson talked about that. If you have an emotion or feeling about something that's continuously comes back up, it's like, you need to write this down in greatest detail possible, because it's like, you need to go through this. You got to work on that.
Right.
You got to do that self-reflection.
Why is it that this is bothering me on such a level? Or, I think part of the problem with that really is if it's something you've been dealing with for a while, you don't know that it's not an anthill until someone else tells you, And it's weird how sometimes that can happen.
Well, yeah, it's because you get blinded by your own stuff. I mean, typically you're probably too busy looking towards the future and the past that you're not in the present enough that you're making assumptions.
Well, I mean, I have a general tendency on a regular to over obsess about the little things that aren't quite right. You know, instead of focusing on the big things that in general are going perfectly smoothly.
Yeah, I try to do that.
You know, and is that human nature? Is that just me? Is that
programming? I
like, I don't
it's
know.
mostly programming.
Expectations people have of me that I'm kind of overanalyze? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I really want to say that's probably a lot of programming, because I mean, that's in general what society kind of dictates that to us through the media and whatnot. You know what I mean? So that's why I had to make and continue to do the conscious effort of trying and moving forward and thinking positive and, you know, focusing on those things. Yeah, I would say it's probably just habit from societal views. It's what we were raised in, you know. I mean, again, I'm speaking very much from a psychology base because that's just my.
Well, and we're making generalizations too. I think, you know, all these things kind of would have to be determined on a case by case basis, depending on what we're talking about. But that's interesting that you've used something like, personally, if something's reoccurring in your mind. So whether it's a memory of a what you might title a bad occurrence in your life, or something that you keep revisiting.
Well, it could be a positive.
You might ask
influence.
yourself, what is it that I haven't resolved here? Or
dude, it could be a memory of you running through a field chasing butterflies. It could be a
good memory.
Correct. If
Right.
it's something that continuously occurs, if it's something that, and again, whether it's once a week, once a month, once a year, if somehow or another, as you've gotten older, this thing keeps popping up on occasion. Look into it.
It doesn't have to be the day that the yellow-eyed bully tried to pick on me and beat me up. Like
Dude, it could be your wedding day. You know, it could be
a good memory, but like, why is this resurfacing now 3 times in the same week, or a couple times in a day, or whatever it is?
Yeah, because you know, at that point, like you were saying, it could be the outside forces trying to say something. It could be your body trying to say something. It could be your soul trying to do. If it's constantly coming back around, yeah, you might want to look into that.
If it is, but I mean, like I said, you know, when I made the reference of that very, very early memory, sometimes I'll just revisit and I don't even know where it comes from. Like, the memory will come to me, and I kind of let it float there for a minute and enjoy it for what it is and just let it pass. And I don't necessarily question why it showed up, but yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, I mean, that's why I said, yeah, it's some psychology.
This damn psychology.
Well,
it kind of, it makes you analyze everything. And
my brain, because I mean, that's the thing. It's like, all right, so growing up watching a lot of the, you know, John Hughes is a huge influence because of all of his stuff being pretty much, you know, a psychological study of personality traits and such. As I've gotten older, I've come to realize that I've always just enjoyed being very much like a voyeur, seeing those different traits, being able to pick apart the patterns and see how they intertwine, and, you know, just the way everything works.
You getting deep with me? Really?
Well, but that's
imagine all those archetypes, right? All those different personality traits as being different aspects of yourself as well. You know, I mean, is there a piece of every one of those characters in that movie, you know, that you've stepped into at one point or another in your lifetime, you know? And
that's why I think, you know, because of how John Hughes does it, getting to a very finite way of what that person would be and very exacting about it. Yeah, it makes it, you know, we all have those things inside of us. Without being an outright caricature, but it's very much. Well, I think your typical human probably has the majority of those traits within them on a moderate level, whereas these individuals are very much specific to a actual thing. So, yeah, you know, the typical human who is going to be somewhat balanced is going to have many of those parts in you, which makes it very easy for you to start kind of picking yourself apart and be like, oh my God, is that what it is? Isn't that how it is? It's like, no, it doesn't. Like, you don't necessarily have to fit into any one of those. It's like hearing a drug commercial where it's like, do you wake up tired? It's just like, oh my God, I have it. It's like,
Was that Chris Rock?
No, I was another comedian.
Oh, because no, I remember Chris Rock. He's like, they're talking about how pharmaceutical companies are always trying to sell you something. But like, you know, do you go to sleep at night tired and wake up? They're like, that's me. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I said, oh my God, I have it. Yeah, no, you don't. You don't have it. But it's, you know, there's a term for that when you start, you know.
Well, you have to create a need to create a solution for it or something like that.
Well, no, there's
Create a problem.
so within psychology, well, I guess within medical understanding, because it's typical of like medical students or psychology students, when you start to learn about these different disorders and
You start to think you have.
you all of a sudden start to self-diagnose yourself because you're such, you know, and that's because of our human nature at this point.
That's just curious because that goes right in line with what you always tell me about how it's just human nature to project and that we always do it whether we realize we're doing it or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
That when like you always say whenever you lash out at somebody else, I mean, you wouldn't even say 9 times out of 10. You would say all the time there's an aspect of projection in there somewhere.
Absolutely. And whether it's an extreme degree or not, it's still going to be from your bias, which means it's being projected from you.
And the funny thing is, whether it's obvious or not, it not necessarily mean it's going to be obvious to you,
right,
being the person that's going through it. So it could be completely obvious to everyone else, and you could be completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, and
no, this is perfectly normal. I'm fine.
Well, my bigger thing has always been that if it's of a negative nature, it has more to do with them than it does you. That very much is a projection. You know, I mean, the typical thing of you get cut off in traffic and the guy flips you off as he cuts you off. And it's just like, yo, what the F was that about? It's
what
like,
did I miss? Yeah.
The likelihood is that person was probably in a hurry and somebody 2 blocks before just cut him off, or 2 people or 3 people, or he got held up at a roadblock or, you know, construction, or somehow or another that individual is already having a rough enough day. They were already enacted upon, and now they're just putting it back out where it's like, well, it happened to me. I'm just going to even the score. And, you know, they're just throwing all this negativity. It's like, dude, it had nothing to do with you.
I think some of this comes from riding my motorcycle, but I tend now more so, and some of it comes with just age, but I tend more so now than I used to, that if somebody passes me in a huff like that, I let them go their way and I just ignore it. Because I don't need to get, like, what would it be worth it for me to go around following that guy to cuss him out or give him the finger back? Like, it's just going to put me in danger. It's going to, well, as well as perpetuate the cycle of negativity. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be the fish out of water on that stuff.
So, you know,
don't pay it back, pay it forward.
You got to just kind of let it go. Sometimes it's just like, especially because that's happened to me before, where somebody will pass me like that and flip me off. And I'm like, what did I even do? And I'm like, now I'm talking to my windshield for no reason. Just let it go.
You're right.
Like, he didn't do me any harm. He's up there now. I don't have to worry about him. You know, just go about my business. It's not affecting me. But I mean, how easy is it? You know, you can feel yourself almost getting pulled into that sometimes. Like, the desire to lash out, or
I had to
prove a point,
establish the habit in me that when that would happen, to not take it personal, was to project back, but in a fashion of like, well, thank you very much for going ahead of me. I'm so glad that you're going to be in front and I no longer have to deal with you. Or even greater is like, if I'm actually out on the highway and I'm driving and I'm already doing probably like 5 or 7 over, because that's typical. You want to be with the flow of traffic. If all of a sudden the flow of traffic's like 10 or 12 miles over and this person goes, flying by, it's like, thank you for getting that ticket for me. Well, yeah, dude, you want to zip in and out of traffic, drive like a crazy person. You know what? You're the one that's going to get pulled over, which means that I don't have to worry about it now.
And full disclosure here, there have been occasional moments where I go, oh, great, now you're going to get in an accident like right ahead of me. And I'm like, why did I even have that thought? That's just mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard not to feel that way sometimes when you see somebody do that and then you see them upside down 2 minutes later, she passed like a mile or so down the street.
Well, yeah, and so my thing was why I transitioned on that specifically, because that was actually a big component for me, because I used to drive. I mean, I'd still drive a lot, but I was very much caught up in that like 9 to 5 rush hour, had to like drive with everybody else kind of a habit.
Like aggressive.
Well, so yeah, I'd be, that guy would like, cut me off or flip me off, and I'd be all like, well, what the hell is I'd get uppity with him. Whereas now
and you're jumping on the gas and
when I read the 4 Agreements, I changed that habit. After reading that book, it instantly changed me from that. In that specific thing, in and of itself.
Wait, and which one of the 4 was that?
To take nothing personal and make no assumptions.
Okay, yeah. Well, so two of them.
Yeah, more so of take nothing personal was the one that really drove it home, but the continuation of just make no assumptions.
Well, because like you said, I mean, the assumption is easy to jump to, that this guy passes you and that like he has a reason to hate. Like he doesn't know you. Like he's just going to pass you and flip you off and cut you off. Like that doesn't affect me. And realizing that, coming to that, realization that doesn't affect me and I don't need to take that personally.
Yeah.
All that negativity is now there where I can see it and keep an eye on it.
Well, yeah. And that's, as well as me taking it personally, just I perpetuate that cycle. And then now I'm, like you were saying, I'm gunning it. I'm revving. I'm zipping in and out. I'm going to chase this guy down. I'm going to get on his butt and I'm going to pull in front of him now.
Well, what did he do to you?
Exactly.
And that's what you have to ask yourself. Like, okay, he flipped me off. That was insulting. Okay, well, what did he do to you?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, no. So yeah, the 4 Agreements kind of pulled me away from that stuff, but
that's good.
Yeah, well, as always,
right when we get into the heat of things,
I'll be honest. I feel like we really just got into it about halfway through and just kind of stuck to it, and it's been pretty dope. Yeah, we've had a few funny episodes. Now we're waning back the other way, so we're balancing.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of gone off the rails for the last couple episodes. I'm trying to bring it back in line.
Yeah, and we're doing it, and that's great. But yeah, so if you want to reach out to us, because we would love that, please, by all means, email us at imtellingyou@directionsofmusic.org. That's IMTELLINYOU @directionsofmusic.org.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this is. I
appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Happy birthday, by the way, man. Dude, I just kind of want to finish it off with that. Happy birthday. I started it off. I'm going to finish it off. Happy birthday.
It's cool. We'll have another.
We don't have to go into how old you are because
I'm timeless. But yeah, as always, Mr. Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Yeah, and this is I'm Telling You. We thank you and appreciate you for stopping by and giving us a listen. And yeah, I don't know. I think the thing we have to say now is be good to yourself and be good to everybody else.
Yeah, much love.
Yeah, and then only one thing left to do.
Peace.
Peace.